Cabinet supports increase for minimum wage. Corona testing requirement drop for international travel. But you still got to get the shot, though. And a short history of the Enmore martyrs. I am Noriko Bulford, and this is Uncut News. Do you see news happening? Send us a tip on WhatsApp at 592-659-6151. Last evening, the president announced that his cabinet has finally come around to supporting the $60,000 per month minimum wage, an announcement he made as he addressed the Enmore Martyrs commemoration ceremony last evening. However, contrary to the headlines, it is not official yet. He did not say when the increase will take effect. He just said they support the proposed increase from $44,200 to $60,000. However, when Newsroom contacted the Labour Minister, he said that he will meet with Nondalol next week before they make anything official. Prior to this, the minimum wage was last increased in 2017 from $35,000 to $44,200. Even though negotiations started since 2019 for this most recent increase, businesses pushed back against the increase, citing the Rona, and they asked for more time before the adjustment could be implemented. However, if you ask me, $300 a month is still exploitation wages, though. The president also announced the name of the members of the Commission of Inquiry for the 2020 general and regional elections will be released in the coming days. A promise that his government made immediately following their swearing in August of 2020. Hopefully, we'll be able to soon put this whole election stuff to rest after this. Persons living with HIV, cancer, and various disabilities will now be eligible for permanent public assistance. All they must do is register with the National Commission on Disabilities and the Ministry. The public assistance program will cover persons with physical as well as mental disabilities. This comes days after the government announced a $100,000 one-off cash grant for children living with disabilities. The registration for that cash grant is currently ongoing. The Health Ministry has announced that it's lifting Rona testing requirements for international travel effective tomorrow. However, travelers 12 years and older are still required to be fully vaccinated for entry into the nation. Now it's time to tell you about Best Buy's Car of the Week. Currently on sale, this is 2016 Suzuki Jimny Sierra 4-wheel drive. It comes with regular and low-range 4-wheel drive, Bluetooth, mag rims, new tires, TV, CD, stereo, fog lamps, back camera, and much, much more. Buy cash for $3.4 million, or pay as low as $700,000 down with around $67,000 monthly for 5 years, and it is yours. Call or WhatsApp 662-0844 for more info, or visit the showrooms at Lot 171 Piroshi, Queenstown, or Lot 2 Lamashit, and tell them America sent you for this sweet deal. On Thursday, the police did a contraband inspection at several secondary schools along the East Coast. During the operation, they seized multiple knives, screwdrivers, scissors, and a toy handgun from students. In addition to the random searches, the police officers lectured the students about the consequences of crime and gang violence and the need to be more respectful to teachers. The students were also warned about loitering on the streets after school hours and taking offensive weapons to schools. All of this is a part of the Education Ministry's push to be tough on gang violence. Kilowatia Singh and her husband Sukhdev had rescued their neighbor from an abusive ex-partner several weeks ago, only for that man to barge into their home in Burpees on Wednesday evening and viciously attack them with a cutlass for interfering in what the suspect considered his domestic affair. According to Kilowatia, she and her husband were laying together on a hammock when the man began chopping away at her after they busted into their home. Kilowatia received injuries all about her body, while her husband was chopped on both his hands as he attempted to protect his wife from the blows. The suspect then escaped, while the couple has since been hospitalized and discharged. Meanwhile, the woman who they took in was also present that evening. However, she says she fled the moment she saw him approaching the home and went into hiding. The couple also accused the police of being of no help, as she has a restraining order against the man, and he's actually come to the home threatening them on multiple occasions before. You know, honestly, this is my greatest fear. While we will have many people reach heights of great wealth in this nation, I fear that stories of this injustice will become even more common for the common person. The GDF has just welcomed 211 additional soldiers to the service. The new recruits recently completed 12 weeks of intense induction training as part of the basic recruit course. A graduation parade was hosted for the new recruits on Thursday at Tacoma. There were 30 women among the 211 recruits. Meanwhile, Private Trevin Williams emerged as the best graduating student, while Private Shamar Stevens came in second. For the best coach in Guyana, wait, That should read, for all sizes of clutch, disc, and pressure plates for heavy-duty trucks in Guyana, check out Powered Automotive. Get this and other high-quality truck parts at the lowest prices. Visit them at Lot 1161 EE Eccles. Or call them on telephone number 697-0171. Save big on truck parts at Powered Automotive, the #1 heavy-duty truck parts store in Guyana. 42-year-old Midwest driver Romeo Machado is now dead after a pothole reportedly sent his allegedly speeding vehicle flying into a nearby utility pole and then into a trench. According to the police, the accident occurred just after midnight on the Beehive Public Road on the East Coast. Now for today's oil update. ExxonMobil is looking to ramp up production on the Liza Unity FPSO vessel 4 months after startup, with the aim of realizing its full capacity of 220,000 barrels per day by the third quarter of this year. This is after the gas compression and injection systems on the Unity FPSO were safely commissioned in what Exxon says is around half the normal industry time. Production on the Liza Unity FPSO vessel commenced in February this year, and efforts have been undertaken to bring the operations online safely. The design for the Unity FPSO eliminates the need for routine flaring by using the gas to power the ship and re-injecting the rest of the gas into the reservoir to maintain pressure. It might not be robbery season, but the streets are still mean. That's why you need to get security for your home and business through Sheriff Security Service. Sheriff Security offers well-trained guards, armed and unarmed patrol, marine patrol, canine services. These people even got drones. Why? Because your security is their highest priority. You've seen the rest, now hire the best. Hire Sheriff Security Service today. So, seeing as yesterday was actually an important day in Guyanese history, why not profile it? So today we're going to learn about the Enmore martyrs. On the 22nd of April, 1948, cane cutters went on strike demanding higher wages, recognition of their workers' union, the Guyana Industrial Workers' Union, and the abolishment of the existing cut-and-load system in the fields. They wanted to replace it with a cut-and-drop system, by which the cane cutters should cut the cane, but other workers would actually pick it up and load the cane into the punts for shipment to the factory. The strike obtained political support from the Political Affairs Committee. Dr. Jagan was heavily involved in the strike as well. As the strike continued, the recognized union, the MPCA, urged the workers to return to work, saying they will negotiate with the Sugar Producers Association on their behalf. But the workers had no confidence in the MPCA and demanded that the GIWU represent them instead. However, the SPA refused the call and only wanted to speak with the MPCA, the recognized union at the time. In response to the strike, the state hired replacement workers, and the strikers then responded by chasing them out to the fields and sometimes even beating them and damaging utility lines leading to the estates. However, all the violence came to a head on the morning of June the 16th. About 400 workers picketed in front of the Enmore estate. However, the managers were expecting this and had requested police assistance the night before. That came in the form of 7 armed police officers. They had already taken up positions in the factory compound, which was protected by a 15-high fence. By 10 a.m., the crowd grew larger, and they attempted to enter the compound through the gates and through 2 trench gaps at the rear by which punts entered the factory. But the police blocked them, and at this point the protest started to get rowdy, and a section of the crowd then hurled bricks and stones at the policemen as they stormed the compound. After the police failed to repel the crowd, they opened fire, leaving 5 workers dead and 14 others injured. The dead were identified as Lalbaji Kisun, Puran, Rambaran, Tuki, and Harry. These men, through the years, became known as the Enmore martyrs, and on June 17th, the funeral procession for the men marched from Enmore to La Repentir Cemetery in Georgetown, where they are buried today. It is said that this moment greatly influenced Dr. Jagan's political philosophy and outlook on life. And that's the story of the Enmore martyrs. So with that being said, it's now time for our Uncut News Viewers Poll Question of the Day. Every day we pose the question of current events in Guyana, the region, the diaspora, and how you feel it relates to us. Yesterday, I asked if you'd actually like a more consistent history segment on the show. Abina S. says, "Thank you for the profile on Dr. Rodney. You should continue to profile prominent Guyanese, both good and bad. I recommend Dr. Ivan Van Hertma for a future profile." Yes, they came before Columbus. An interesting book indeed. Interesting and controversial, to say the least. We'll definitely do him in the future. Guyanese Steel Orchestra says, to add a history segment would be wonderful. I'm pretty sure there's lots of youths out there without the knowledge of our history. Unfortunately, you're absolutely correct. And finally, Rob Peters says, "I think you should do a special historical episode once per week with people that made a difference in Guyana, starting with Lionel Luku. a famous lawyer. Ah yes, the man who holds the Guinness World Record for the world's most successful lawyer with his 245 murder acquittals over a 45-year period. So, obviously, it's an overwhelming yes. So I'll see about incorporating this more consistent history segment on Fridays in the future. It might not be every single Friday, but we'll definitely, I'll see what I can do. Now, before we get to tonight's question, you can multiply your cash by selling Digicel Top-Up. This is a legit way you can earn some extra money at your business or to supplement your current hustle. Become a top-up vendor quick and easy by linking with Cellular Plus. Call them on telephone number 685-3109 for more info. Now for tonight's question. The government is finally supporting the call to increase the minimum wage to 60,000 Guyana dollars a month. I want to know, do you think this is enough, or should they raise it even higher? So, I want you to think about that question. Tell us in the comments below. If your response is good enough, we just might feature it in our next episode. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight, and check us out on Monday for another. Until then, I'm Rico Bulford saying, have a great weekend. And as always, don't drink and drive, or you'll end up on Monday's episode the hard way. Ha-ha! Good night, folks.